Hey guys, it's Ashley, and today we are going to be talking about Life and Death, the new book by Stephenie Meyer in the Twilight series. There have been a lot of mixed reviews about this book. Some people love it, some people hate it, and I am in the camp of loving it, and I'm going to tell you why. But first, let me tell you what this book is about in case you have just totally missed this over the past week. On Tuesday, Stephenie Meyer secretly put out a brand new book in the Twilight series. It is part of the Twilight 10th Anniversary Special Edition. It's actually just a bind-up, so half of it's Twilight and half of it is this new Life and Death book. And in the foreword for Life and Death, she explains how this came about. Because it's the 10th anniversary of Twilight, the publisher asked Stephenie to put something special into this edition. And I think they were just expecting a letter, and she thinks that's what they were expecting too. But instead, she decided she wanted to do something really special. There wasn't enough time to put together Midnight Sun, which is why it's not Midnight Sun, but she decided to play on this idea that she'd had for a while of taking Twilight and seeing how it would play out with opposite genders. So instead of Edward, we have Edith, and instead of Bella, we have Beau, and everybody else, with the exception of Charlie and Renee, have their genders swapped. And in my opinion, it worked out pretty well. Not as a brand new book. If you go into this expecting a brand new book, you will be disappointed. That's not what this is. This is a Twilight retelling, and a lot of it is copy and paste, and I think that's why a lot of people have been frustrated with it. But if you go into it with the mindset of this is an experiment, this is a giant what if kind of fan fiction by the actual author, I think you'll enjoy it too, especially if you enjoyed Twilight. So that's how I went into this, of oh my goodness, we get a new Twilight book, and it's kind of just what if, playing on this idea of what if the vampire was a woman and the human was a man, how would Twilight change? And so in my opinion, it worked out pretty well. Beau is a very different character than Bella. He's not as depressed, he's not as angsty as Bella was for me, and so it just changed the whole feel of the entire story. Even though so much of it was copy-paste, you'd been in Beau's mind long enough that you saw the differences and you saw the familiar passages and things in a new light. And so it just put a really fresh twist on this story that is so familiar to us now. I really enjoyed getting this what if, because I kind of always wonder those kinds of things. What if that had been different? What if that changed? And so I thought it was great. I gave it like 4 stars because as that, it was really good. If you go in expecting a new book, you will be disappointed. But if you go in with the knowledge that this is a giant what-if experiment, it turns out pretty well. The one thing I really couldn't stand in this book, though, were the names. I guess I should have been better prepared since, you know, the original Twilight Saga, we got Renesmee. But the names in this one, I just couldn't. For example, instead of Carlisle, we have Kareen. I don't know how to say it, so in my mind it was Carleen. I think Stephenie was trying too much to keep the names similar to the characters that we already knew, and it just didn't work for some of them. Jessamine just felt kind of clunky as a name in most of it. Beau as a name grew on me as the story went, except when somebody would call him Beaufort, and I was just, oh, no. No. Edith as well grew on me. It made more sense though because she was 104 years old, so that would have been a common name. Although not so much with the spelling. I feel like that spelling would not have been around. But anyways, as a whole, the names in this book just kind of drove me batty. I couldn't take it. But really, that was my biggest complaint with this story, was the names were just too much. So going forward, if you have not read Twilight, the rest of this review is going to be a little bit spoilery. If you have read Twilight, then you already know the plot of this book, so you have nothing to be spoiled of. I'm just going to talk about a little bit of the differences. So if you have not read Twilight and you plan to, you should just bye. See you next time. Have a good weekend. If you have read Twilight, then stay tuned. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So really, this was pretty much copy-paste from the original Twilight book, with subtle things changed. We got things in a little bit different perspective. The one that made me the angriest, however, was that she changed the hero line. We all know the line, what if I'm not the hero, what if I'm the bad guy? It's like burned into my person, because that line was just so, oh yes, what if I'm not the hero, what if I'm the bad guy? You guys get me, I think. But she changed it. She changed it. Edith doesn't say, what if I'm not the hero, what if I'm the bad guy? Instead, she says, what if I'm not the superhero, what if I'm the villain? Now granted, that sounds a little more adult and something more along the lines that a 104-year-old vampire would say, but that's not how I've known it for 10 years, so I was kind of angry that she changed it, although I understand why she did. I just didn't personally agree with that. She did keep the heroine line the same, so really this book goes right along with Twilight until we get to the last few chapters, and then it starts to deviate from the plot that we know so well. And Stephanie does put a little note at the end like, oh yeah, sorry about that, but I just wanted to see what would happen. I appreciated the ending for what it was, for just her experimenting and seeing how it could change from what Bella experienced, and so I did like it for that. I am glad that's not how Twilight actually ended, and it's just kind of like a fanfic version. If you have not read Life and Death yet, I recommend going away because I am about to spoil the ending because I just need to talk about it with somebody. So if you have not read Life and Death, have a good weekend. I will talk to you later. If you have read Life and Death, stay around in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Apparently my new thing. I don't know how I feel about it. So the end of Life and Death, instead of Beau getting rescued in time and going back to being a human, and then when we get 3 more books, he gets turned into a vampire. I was not expecting that. Actually, I kind of was, because I kept seeing online and stuff that the ending was different, and I figured that's how it was gonna go. But still, I appreciated the way that it happened. I liked that Edith got there too late, and Archie said, Edith, there's only 2 ways this can go. If you suck out the venom, he's going to die. Just let him, be changed. And she was like freaking out, and I liked that she gave him the choice of die a human or live as a vampire. I liked that she gave him the choice, and I thought that was really sweet, and I liked that, they were like, okay, if you want to be this, then we're going to help you, have it happen faster. So I liked that. I liked the whole seeing how it would have happened and how it progressed from there, and seeing the whole chapter about the change and what happens in that, and the funeral. My heart completely 100% broke for Renee and Charlie. I was in tears. I was just like, Renee and Charlie, you just lost your kid in this horrible way. And especially for Charlie after the whole fake fight with Beau thing that he thought was real, and just, I was so utterly heartbroken that that's how it ended for them. I just couldn't. I'm glad that's not how the Twilight book actually ended, but I liked seeing it play out. I didn't like that the last couple chapters just felt like a giant info dump, like she was just trying to cram all of the information that we learned over the last 3 books of the Twilight saga into 3 chapters of Life and Death. And that's exactly what it felt like. The whole chapter about the change, we get him suffering in the fire, and it's literally just an entire chapter of Edith telling him all the things he needs to know as a vampire. And I don't think it was actually necessary to put into the story. I think, yes, some of it was, but I don't think all of it was. I don't think she needed to go into the history of the Volturi and all of that for the sake of this story, because it doesn't actually come up. And I know she's not planning to write the rest of the series from his perspective, which would be really interesting because now he's a vampire, so it changes the entire plot for the rest of the saga, but that's a different discussion for a different day. And then I just felt like the last 2 chapters, it was just a cop-out. It was just trying to cram too much information that we didn't need into the rest of this book. I didn't appreciate that, but I did like getting to see how the whole ending would have played out had Bella been turned early. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on Life and Death by Stephenie Meyer, the newest book in the Twilight series. I gave it about 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads because I did enjoy it as what it was, a Twilight retelling with different genders. I thought it was a very imaginative thing to do for a 10th anniversary special, especially the fact that she managed to keep it a secret. I can't even believe that nobody knew. I think that was just fantastic. So let me know down below what you thought of Life and Death. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you somewhere in between? Do you share my feelings about the whole ending? Let me know down below. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I will talk to you later. Bye!